Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Squid Game. If you have heard all the... Today we are talking about Squid Game. This is a Netflix drama that has come out in September of 2021 and it is already number one and it has surpassed so many expectations. The Squid Games is a series that was directed and written by Hwang Dong-hyung, and it is said that he had gotten some inspiration from his own personal life. He had initially written this series back in 2008, and it wasn't funded until 2019 when Netflix was actually interested in expanding their options. And so Netflix was the one that took them, and the director, he actually wrote and directed all 9 episodes of this series. Like I said, the episodes are roughly around 1 hour long, so it is a series to kind of sit down and take some time and watch it. So what I wanted to talk about today is a little bit about the series. Then I'm going to actually give you how I felt about it and also things that just didn't make sense to me. So the series revolves around 456 players who each have their own debt problems. They get invited to play this contest, and all these games are all children-based games, and the amount and the payout is huge. So if they win all these games, they're able to cash in the prize at the very end, whoever wins, right? So they play games like green light, red light, and if you're not familiar with those type of games, you have one person that's turned around and they say red light is to stop and green light is to go. So when they say green light, everybody runs and tries to get past a certain part, and then once they say red light, then they are to stop, and whoever is seen by the person hiding their face gets eliminated. But in the Squid Games, like, all these children games are like turned around, and anybody that loses at these games are killed off. And in red light, green light, that I think the first episode like resonated with everybody that watched it, because I wasn't expecting like just, I mean, we saw it right from the preview, somebody was gonna get shot in there, but actually seeing that scene and how gruesome it was just, it was intense, like that moment. So these players go on and they play the different kids games. They get all the way to the last game, which is Squid Game, and Squid Game is an actual game in Korea. If you have not watched this series, go and watch it, and then you can come back and see the rest of this. So I think that this series reminded me a lot about the Hunger Games, where like the rich just watched as the poor struggled, and they were just kind of like puppets to them and entertainment for them. And it reminded me of Hunger Games in that way, where the rich got their fill on just watching those less unfortunate struggle. Even though I personally think it was a good series, there were parts in it that I felt like just didn't make sense. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So number 1, the officer's phone. So for those of you that don't know, the officer that goes around and he's actually looking for his brother, he finds a way into the facility and he's trying to take pictures and trying to take video and record and send messages to his boss, his superior. And it's crazy because when he first starts, he's only at like 50% of battery, and then he's there taking pictures. I don't know about you, but my phone on 50% won't even last within the next hour or 2 hours. Having a phone that lasted days, I was like, okay, I need me one of those phones that is like forever battery life. So the officer has this phone, and by the end of like, it has to have been a couple of days or maybe even a week on this, where he has his phone and sending pictures, sending messages, recording things, and he's able to save these, and the battery life, like from 1 day to like 2 days later or 3 days later, he's only gone to like 38%. And then when he actually reaches like when they actually discover him and he gets out of the facility and onto this island, and they they follow him there, and he's trying to get signal and there's like no signal, and then all of a sudden he reaches the top and he has signal, so he can send all the messages and all the pictures to his captain and make a quick phone call. And I thought it was silly. I think they could have maybe done that a little bit differently. And yeah, I need to get me one of those phones. Number 2, the whole thing about it being fair. Now, to it, I'm referring about how the games were played and how everybody was there to be taken out of the world, where the world judged them, where the world didn't feel like they were up to par, and they were not to be judged, and everything was supposed to be fair. And there was a lot of little hiccups in the series where we found that things weren't fair. Going back to whoever was paired up with player 1. So whoever was with player 1, this was AKA like the boss of the whole facility, already had the clues given to them. But whoever would be paired up with basically the owner would get little clues or get a glimpse of how to beat this game. And so we find out that it becomes unfair to everybody else who had to try to figure it out, especially like to the panels. So they have this one game where they're walking across these glass panels, and some are made of real glass and some are tempered glass, and they had to jump from which one to which one, and whoever was at the beginning had to actually lead the group. So that person had no idea how to even figure out how to go across. What I'm trying to get at is a lot of these players didn't actually know how to play these games. You had like Ali, where he didn't really know some of these games, had to be explained to him. But everybody who was teamed up with the old man, okay, which was our protagonist, really was the one who was usually paired up with him or found a way to be paired up with him. He was usually the one that was like getting these hints, but didn't even know that he was getting these hints. So yeah, I just think it was a little like the word fair was really just tossed around because I don't really think it was fair. Number 3, the pink suit soldiers. Like the security there was horrible. I mean, it was like they just made this up and hey, you want to be an officer? You want to be an officer? You want to be an officer? Come here. We're going to go to this island and I just need you to stand there and look tough, but not really know what you're doing. I mean, there were times where a police officer got onto the boat under the car and nobody, all these pink suited officers got out of their vans and, looked all tough and okay. And then time to inspect the contestants and everybody's passed out, right, from the smoke, and they're checking them, and then all of a sudden the police officer jumps into one of the vans and they start wrestling and you see the van move, and then all of a sudden nobody sees what's going on. Yeah, I just think the security here was just it was not up to par for being a very strict location. The way these pink soldiers were portrayed as, I think there was one time that they showed the mask of one of them and it was a kid. And so I'm wondering if that's going to lead up like to season 2. Maybe we get a better understanding of like why security was just so simple. There was even a part where one of the contestants, who was a doctor, was grouped with some of those pink soldiers, and they were working together to get some of the bodies of the contestants that had died and cut them open and take their organs so they can sell them, so they can get that money to pay for their debt. And it's like, okay, how did they not see that there was a contestant always missing, and 2, there was always soldiers missing? Like, wasn't there like a head count, or they always had to like stay together? So that wasn't really explained either. Number 4, Sang-woo and Ali's marble game. I think this one was one of the saddest parts of the whole series. And so he's paired up with Sang-woo and in this marble game where he loses, and Sang-woo takes his marbles and replaces them with rocks. And so he takes all of his winnings, basically. This one's weird because it's like, okay, there are the pink suited soldiers around everybody, shooting the ones that are losing, yet they didn't see that Sangwoo cheated. And in this game that's supposed to be played fairly, this again was one of those loopholes, or just one of those things of that didn't really make sense with me, because if this was a fair game, then they should have caught him cheating, which there was soldiers all over the place. They should have caught him cheating, and he should have been the one to pay the price and not Ali. And unfortunately, like, we didn't see that. We saw the cheating take place, and we saw Ali die instead of Sangwoo, and that just didn't fit. And this goes back to the officer getting unnoticed, people bringing in weapons or sliding in a piece of weapon, or, oh, I didn't cover my face all the way, so the tear gas didn't make me go to sleep, and now I know everything and I can sneak in weapons. So if this was such a high secured facility, I don't think these things would have gone unseen. I think somebody would have noticed, and it would have not gotten that far. Number 5, what happened to the VIP that was knocked unconscious? So in one of the episodes where the police officer, he already is in there, he's already walking around. Again, this goes back to security. He's walking around with all the different masks. He's wearing a pink soldier's mask. He's wearing just a regular mask of somebody who's a server. And he just gets all these roles, and nobody noticed that he's not the person that he says he is. And he ends up meeting the VIPs, where they have this episode where all the VIPs show up and they watch one of the games. And this was the glass game where they're walking across. So they're all sitting there watching and eating and all that stuff. And so one of the VIPs gets interested in the officer, who he didn't know was the officer. But so he's like, hey, like, I want you. And so he takes him, and they go into a private room. And so the VIP is asking for something, and the officer turns it around and busts out his gun, and he unmasks himself, and, you know, he's like, you know, tell me everything you know. And then all of a sudden, they cut scene go on, and then they come back. When they come back, he's unconscious, and they call security, and this is when they try to find out who this mask person is. I don't remember if I saw him like reappear. I would have to go back and like see that, and I want to say like I saw him like later on like reappear with the VIPs, but I don't know it was him because I didn't check like the mask that he was wearing. I couldn't remember which one. But, and I think this might be more of a plot hole than things that didn't make sense, but it kind of fits into both. Overall, I thought this was a great series. I think it is one to watch, and I'm actually really happy for the director, who is an example of the struggles that we all face. And I just want to like give him like a huge shout out for making his series come true. Now, not everybody's gonna like anybody's work, right? Everybody's always gonna have their opinions about it, but you know what? His show is #1 in Netflix right now, and nobody can ever take that away from him. It is gruesome. There is adult language, adult activities, but it is awesome to watch. Watch it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you found any other plot holes in the series. Let me know if you're excited if they are going to do another season. And let me know what you thought. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you take care. Come back and see me. All right? Bye.